Do you love Allah? Wait, hold on. Don't answer that. What does it even mean to love Allah? What do you understand when you say I love Allah? If we look at the linguistic meaning of love in the English language, we can learn a lot from what it truly means to love one thing or one being. Love can be translated in Webster's dictionary as to have a passionate affection, profound tenderness, strong liking, complete contentment, absolute reliance between someone or something. Subhanallah, when you think about it, the English language cannot define what love is. So how is it that we are so ready to say, we love Allah? But great men like Abu Bakr, Umar bin Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan, Ali ibn Abi Talib, the first four caliphs, all these great men, these people had the love with Allah. How was it so that Abu Bakr, as the Emir, as the head of a state, Emir, how is it that he would travel every day? He would travel every day after furor to a blind elderly woman's house and clean her house and prepare her children, tend to her animals, and yet she didn't even know who he was, who this man was, what this man did. All she knew was that a man came and provided for her. How is it if not for the love of Allah? What else did Abu Bakr do it for? Did he do it for money? He was one of the richest. Did he do it for status, prestige? He was leader of all the believers, the head of a state. So my dear brother and sisters, such was the love that Abu Bakr had for Allah. What about the Umar bin Khattab? What about him? He was on his way to kill the Prophet, peace be upon him, and instead he accepted Islam, and his love for Allah and his deen was so great that while all the other Muslims were hiding their Islam, he was ready to proclaim his Islam. He was ready to tell everyone about this mercy Allah bestowed upon him. Such was the love that he had with Allah. What about Uthman ibn Affan? What about him when he was asked to give? When he gave from the best of what we had imagine. When we give things that we don't use, we give second-hand items. We give the extra money that we don't need, so on and so forth. Uthman ibn Affan, he gave the best of what he had and all of what he had, or as much as he could. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked for military equipment for a battle, Uthman ibn Affan, he didn't give used items. He gave what we would be an equivalent of today, who fully loaded Humvees. He brought the best camels. He brought the best shields and swords. Imagine the cost he took upon himself to provide this for the Muslims. Such was the love. If he didn't do it for the love of Allah, as we said before, if it wasn't for the love of Allah, what was it for? Did he need to become popular? No, his status was there. His wealth was there. He had everything he needed. He only desired Allah. He desired to have a relationship with Allah. Such was the love that he had for Allah, my brothers and sisters in Islam. How much does Allah do for us? He created us. He gave us life. He gave us good health. He gave us wealth. He gave us children. He gave us wives and spouses. He gave us beautiful homes to live in. He promises for us an eternal paradise. He will elevate our status and let us look at his face on the day of judgment. How does Allah to love us so much? The Prophet, peace be upon him, said that I swear indeed, Allah loves us and love people far more than a mother who has lost her child when she finds her child back. Imagine when a mother who's lost her child finds the child for the first time. How much does she love the child, subhanallah? It is for this reason why Sufyan al-Saudi used to say that I swear I would rather have Allah as my judge on the day of judgment rather than my own parents. Why? Because I know Allah loves me more than my own parents. My brothers and sisters in Islam, how much does Allah love us is shown by the fact that even when we disobey Him, He still feeds us, He still clothes us, He still lets us breathe. But Allah, He still provides for us and nourished us and sustains us even whilst we're disobeying Him by love, even when we're committing that sin. Alas, in letting us breathe. Allah in letting us eat our food. Yes, how great and how noble and how mercifully is Allah. Ali ibn Abi Talib, what do you think? Allowed him to spend the entire night in Salah, the entire night, in Ibadah of Allah. The Sahaba said that they left him after Isha in Ruku, and they came before Far, and they found him in Roku. Except there was one difference. There was one difference. That his beard was soaked. His beard was soaked, and there was a puddle beneath him, Ya Allah. What gave him the happiness to do that? To pray all night. He was one of the 10 promised Jannah, my dear brothers. One of the 10 promised Jannah. Yet he worked like he was promised Jahannam, as if he was going to hellfire. That's how hard he worked, because his desire, his love to be with Allah, even though he was promised Jannah, pushed him to work as hard. Such was the genuine love that Ali ibn Talib had. The one scholar of Islam say, the tears of a believer are more precious than the Kaaba. Ash-Shokani Rahimullah says, the tears of a believer are more precious to Allah than indeed the Kaaba itself. Have you not heard? Shokani says that indeed 7 people will be given shade on the Day of Judgment, and one of those people to be given shade on the Day of Judgment will be a man who remembers Allah, and out of fear and love for Allah, his eyes tear will him, and so he says, Wallahi, the tears are more beloved to Allah than the Kaaba by Allah. What about people like Ahmad bin Hanbal? The love he had your Allah is just humbling. This is a man. We can claim those were Sahaba. This is a man, a knowledgeable man. You and me. When he was arrested, once the punishment for him was 100 lashes on the great Imam. So when they executed this punishment, it was executed in public, and the people saw it, and his students saw it. So the executor, he began to whip 100 lashes, and in between those lashes he passed out. When he regained consciousness, he found that his students had gathered around him in his house, and either the first question he asked after being whipped and everything he said, did you guys pray ASR? Did you pray ASR? And his students replied yes. So he said, then make wudu for me, so I can pray the ASR. So they made wudu, and he prayed ASR. And then after the salah, the students were around him, and they asked him a question. They asked him, O Sheikh, O our Sheikh, when the whisper was whipping you, we were crying out of the pain that you were going through, yet you were smiling. You were smiling. Why? So that Imam said, you guys were looking at the hand of the whisper. He said, but I was looking at the hand of Allah. If it wasn't for the love that he had for Allah, how else would he think the way he thought in his punishment? Put yourselves in the shoes of these great men in these situations, and then ask yourself, would you have reacted the same? Would you have done the same? Would you have thought the same? And ultimately, ask yourself, do you love Allah?